everybody, this is Zero Kame, or also known as Arcana MD, and welcome to my Guilty Gear Strive beginner tutorial video, whatever you have you. If you are new to Guilty Gear and the franchise, please, if you find this video helpful, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, or share, or at least at the very least share it, because if you're new to the franchise and you have friends who you want to play the game with, and they're new to the franchise, please, like, have this video reach as many people as possible, because I'm going to cover the ins and outs of Guilty Gear Strive. So let's get right into the video. Okay, first things first, I want to go over the roaming cancel mechanic, because that's the mechanic that a lot of people are going to be using and using a lot. So first things first, the roaming cancel mechanic is when you can cancel any move, whether it be super, normal, special, or just standing idle. So I'm going to go over the different types of roaming cancels. The blue roaming cancel is when you're standing idle, and the purple roaming cancel is when you're canceling out of a special move or throw, and the red roaming cancel is when you're canceling out of a normal, and the yellow roaming cancel is used defensively. It's a defensive like move to use to get your opponent off of you and start your offense back. And you use the yellow roaming cancel, that means it is indeed your turn again. One of the big defensive mechanics in this game that actually like we talked about before I actually looked at my notes in my script was the Faultless Defend. The Faultless Defend, or Faultless Defense, however you want to call it, is basically you activate that by pressing two buttons, not dust. That isn't dust. Like pressing two attack buttons, like slash, heavy slash. That's what I normally use. I normally use slash, heavy slash for Faultless Defend, but a lot of people use a lot of different buttons. So there's that, and I just wanted to point that out that in Faultless Defend, you can normally it pushes you further away. It pushes the opponent further away, or you further away, depending on who's on offense. If you use Faultless Defend, it pushes them further away from you, so like they can't really punish you. And instant blocking or just blocking. Like if you see it instant, if you know you instant block, it'll say just on the screen, so that means you instant block. That means like in older Guilty Gear games, that basically meant that like you get like you get like better frame data, better frame advantage or whatever. But in this game, basically like you can move closer into a punish if you instant block a right move or whatever. You're closer and get the punish a move correctly and more efficiently than you wouldn't do by Faultless Defending or regular blocking. I just wanted to point that out and throw that out there. And I know the footage is gonna be kind of off or whatever, but like I just wanted to like point that out. The next mechanic I would like to talk about is the first mechanic. The first mechanic is basically a get out of jail free card, or basically if you're under pressure, you can get out of like that pressure and you can just like reset neutral and start your offense again, or your opponent start your offense again. You just replay neutral basically. That's basically the use of the burst mechanic. It comes back over time, so it's not like Dragon Ball Sparking where it doesn't come back. It does come back over time, so please be wary of that, and you can use that in a lot of situations. Just make sure that you are using it correctly. And also, there is another burst called the Gold Burst, which is you burst and you get all of your meter. It only comes in certain situations, so like just be mindful of when you use your burst, and you can get a gold burst and you can have all your meter. Another thing I would like to talk about is the risk gauge. The risk gauge is when you block on defense and blocking a lot. So you can't really block a lot in this game. This game is really offensive oriented, because the more you block, the more that gauge goes up, and when that gauge reaches its maximum, you will take like massive damage. So try to avoid blocking too much, but like block as much as you can without blocking too much and overloading the risk gauge, because if you overload the risk gauge, you're going to take a lot of damage. And that's one thing I would like to point out. And another thing I would like to point out that's not dealing with the risk gauge is the penalties and the bonuses. So basically this game is very offensive. So if you play too defensive, or if you play too passive to the point like you just jump back or whatever, like you know you're playing Dragon Ball or whatever, you just jump back and just backdash and just do all this other like you know defensive stuff, then you're going to be in danger state. Danger state is when you lose your meter, and negative penalty is when you lose all of your meter and you take more damage. And positive penalty is when you know you break the wall. When you break the wall, you gain more meter at a rapid rate. So I just wanted to like point that out, you know, because I didn't get any footage of that actually. So, yeah, that's basically it. Alright, Dust is a special move. It's not really a special move. It's like a special move unique only to Guilty Gear, where you hold down the Dust button, and if you hold down the Dust button and your Dust button can vary depending on like what you play on, whether it be stick, pad, hitbox, whatever. So holding down the Dust button and holding up in Guilty Gear Strive or up forward, you can engage in the air combo, which is burstable, by the way. You know, you can burst out of that. So just in case anybody hits you with that, you know, you can burst out of it. And well, like it lets you hit you with an air, it enables you to have an air combo. I'm sorry, guys, I'm getting like tongue tied throughout this entire video, but yeah, you get to get an air combo off, and it changes your changes the scene. It changes the actual like the field that you play on. Like you know like you may go to a different part of the field. That's what I meant to say actually. And you don't get positive bonus for landing a successful dust attack into field change, but you know you only get that for breaking the wall. But you know you get some momentum and some damage on your side and everything else. So there's that. Well, here's a part one of the video. This is like part one of the video. So, I am going to actually see if I can like do a part two of this video with some other footage that I have. But, to be honest, I feel like this tutorial has been pretty helpful for explaining like the mechanics of Guilty Gear and everything else. But, I want to do like a more in-depth part two video soon, relatively. So I would say around like maybe 10-15 likes or whatever, and I'll do like a part two to this and explain in even more like depth in detail with more like footage that I have, and I want to record more footage of the game too. So there's that. But I'm gonna leave you all with a little special like match that I'd had. I got a double perfect against an Eno player with my Milia, so there's that. I'll leave you all to that. Peace.
Duel 1. Let's rock! Perfect! Duel 2. Let's rock! Perfect!